Good evening and welcome to another scene in A Desert Dark Crusade. Tonight we are in Timoran, the smaller city, the neighbor of Edessa. And we start our scene with Memnon. He has announced his entry and his business to the city, and he has been given instructions of where to go. He's probably either he is himself carrying, or maybe he has servants carrying something with him. But it's a small house. It seems to be closed for the night. It's some sort of commerce building. So normally it would be closed, but there seems to be a little bit of light in there this night. And yes, Memnon will be lit in. A couple of city guards will help you. They don't ask any questions. They just let you in.
Okay. Yeah, so the gift he has come bearing, he packed it on his donkey. That he doesn't really ride the donkey. He almost treats it like as if it's a dog. To walk by his side, though he leads it by its bridle.
Hmm.
Passing through the city's gates, he'll take note and try to be respectful to the city watch within, and yeah, so he'll take the directions given to him towards what he presumes is one, if not the only, haven of Madeline meeting place.
As you enter, perhaps to your surprise, you see one guy outside. You probably he's dressed best description is a monk, although he doesn't wear any colors or any mark of any specific order of monk, but he does seem to be. He looks kind of like a monk. He just nods to you, and he seems to just be standing outside. And inside is Madeline herself. She will just say, good evening. It's very good. It was quite a joyous occasion last night. The final day of the Elysium, and soon we will have a new prince. But please, come in, come in.
He'll take he'll take the gift from off donkey, and he'll just ask if there's somewhere he can secure it, I guess by post or something.
Oh, yes, yes. And she will. She'll actually just go over to a corner. There are several things that you would normally have higher end clothing on that you would probably sell. This looks like maybe a sales room, or a place where you would sell maybe clothing, but maybe also carpets, curtains. It's definitely high end.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there seems to be somewhat of a display of goods in mind in here.
Memnon would notice the merchandise and look over and say, "Have you made all these yourself?"
Oh, no, I have not. These are from many of the merchants. Well, given our proximity to the Silk Road, this is simply merchandise that comes and goes.
Interesting. Mr. Madeline, I will not keep you in suspense any longer. I hope that you find this.
Please do. She smiles.
Memnon might make a look like he's not really sure how to receive that. Yes, well, again, I hope this would fit to your specifications into your liking. And Memnon will unwrap the set of armor. It is made from steel, um, well, aside from any fittings that must necessitate fabric like leather. Madeline, you'll notice that Memnon has engraved the arrangements of flowers and set the black lotus you requested towards the center of the armor, of the breastplate. And though the flowers aren't quite adornments, they are engraved and inlaid with a secondary material to give some color to the individual flowers. Yeah, he'll just add, I went with an engraving instead of necessarily adornments, perhaps to serve a function of lessening the encumbrance of this armor, offer you some better movement.
Very considerate. She looks it over. You will notice, maybe you can roll, well, we should actually set it up, but dice roller 3, I will just do a thing. You can roll a perception awareness, I think it would be.
Okay, let's go let this thing load up. Oh, wait, I do have a page open.
The Bruce. All right, you have a success. Madeline, well, she just begins to, as she smiled and you presented, as you're done speaking, actually a little before, she goes over and she begins to just trace her hands at the flowers, and she seems to be very much looking at this. She's not, like, you've heard of the Toreador and how they would get, this isn't it, but she seems to be very attentive, just running her fingers down the engravements and just taking in everything, this armor. And she just finally, after like a minute, maybe more, you get, maybe you get like the idea that she's maybe doing something to enhance her senses, maybe, but as she just straightens up, she looks at you and says, I must say, I have seen very, very few humans who was mortals this dedicated at such a short notice to do something as this. I have not heard of many neonates as capable. I am quite impressed.
Well, thank you. That it serves you in the battles to come. I can only say that I will stand by my work. Should you need a second fitting or augmentation.
Oh, I forgot. And she will procure a pouch or like well, a sizable like leather purse with what you can tell that it's coins in it. She just hands it to you and just says, as promised.
Thank you, lady.
Also, I will owe you a minor boon for this, as a gesture of good faith, and a work well done.
Thank you, my lady. I would not keep you in suspense upon that boon either, as I have a idea, and I can let you know essentially what will consist of the boon. A small trifle, I'm sure, of someone of your capabilities.
Hmm, perhaps.
I intend to expand the, how can I say this? My property, in a sense, from an ends to house mortals that I will take in under my wing. I am aware of how persuasive our clan, let alone our kind, is. And alas, I am of yet the requisite skill necessary. If Lady could help persuade a certain individual that would facilitate this end for me, I would consider our boon completed.
Very well. If I am to, if you could, I assume you have a name and a residence.
Oh no. I have yet to pick the man and yet to pick the place.
Ah,
Because, yes, I assure you, it will not be the palace of the king. Someone that just takes the, who will be easily taken by the hammer of our will.
very well. Once you have made a, I am sure, good selection, I will assist you in this.
Thank you. And,
She looks at
mhm.
the armor. Well, it does seem smaller than the one I lent from Ulrich. Ulrich's were quite. She looks it over. Perhaps I should be able to. And give me a moment. And Madeline, she takes off the cloak or the merchant clothing she has on, and just begins to try to, or she begins to take the armor on just to see how it fits.
Mhm. My man will wait there, hands behind his back.
She seems to just like you can catch a couple of grins, and just she seems to be very much on board with this thing being a lot more meant for her, shall we say.
Mhm.
He says, it is indeed very less cumbersome than what I loaned from Ulrich. Very well done. But my, what will the Toreadors think when they see this? All of these flowers.
Hmm. I would hazard a guess that was the lady's intention.
Hmm.
He's saying that coyly,
Hmm.
not like he's
What?
digging for anything.
Oh yeah, and she just what? That is but one of the reasons. If someone is to comment that, of course, a woman would put flowers on her armor, I can either see them as good in with a jest or simpletons for saying such a thing. I would gauge the Toreador to see if they think I would be one of their number, which would be fun. And it also serves another purpose. Truth. But it truth that, well, a lot of people know already. I do not have a habit of hiding who I am.
Well, what need there be to hide oneself if oneself is as assured as you?
It would be a shame to hide me away, wouldn't it?
I would think so.
Well, then you have good taste.
Memnon tries to make a smile. Not his, given his normal demeanor, the smile might come off as very trying. Um, Perhaps the lady could enlighten me to the politics of the city. I had heard from a fellow craftsman as myself that the guild halls can be, well, that they conduct business that is not always pursuant to the business of the guild. I had wondered if there is any of our kind that has their hands within the guild.
Well, the guild holds as a place is the dome. Hmm, well, that is an interesting thing. As you might have hmm, seen, Clan Toreador did not speak of any clan. They were silent, surprisingly so, for High Clan. They held claim, or, well, they do not no longer since the prince is dead, but they used to hold domain over the guild halls themselves.
It's interesting. I've yet to run amongst any of their numbers there.
And that is because they do not speak out and their ranks are in turmoil. Two committed infernalists among their number. A disgraced childer of a primogen, now back, leading to even more slander. They have lost much of what they once were, which makes one wonder, if they're in such turmoil, do they still hold sway over the guild halls? Hmm. Certainly
It
with the
would,
prince gone they do not. And if they do not no longer, does anyone?
it would be a shame if their absence and whatever machinations they had therein were to leave the guild halls in a state of shock,
Very much so.
crisis. Yes.
Perhaps this is something you endeavor to look at in the future?
I have a very close place in my heart to the men that ply trades. Yes, I would be interested in making sure that the guilds, for the sake of Odessa, are up and running and as smoothly as possible.
Perhaps we should talk more of this in the future. I do believe we can come to a place where the both of us could assist one another to, at the very least, hmm, at the very least, see to it that the future of this, well, it is as a whole, but specifically this part of the city is led to a better place.
Of course, one step at a time.
Of course.
Oh, Sister Madeline, if there's ever any need, perhaps a blade or a war hammer, something else should suit your interest that my crafts can apply you, do not hesitate to ask.
Well, perhaps not a weapon at this time, but perhaps in the future.
Very well.
I am
Mhm.
pursuing a somewhat different approach when it comes to weapons at these days.
Mm. Yes, there are so many types I've heard of that are unconventional as a standard sword and shield. If I could ever find schematics, blueprints of some of the finest engineers, that would pique my interest indeed.
Hmm. Well, perhaps I should keep my eyes out for such a thing. There are different things from the east that seems to be in quite the thing. Perhaps even from my home in earnest, I suppose. Although Franks, as far as I understand, are not the best of engineers, at least not at these times. But then again, I know very little of these things myself.
I have not had the pleasure of meeting many Franks so far in my journey.
Where? By virtue of birth, you are speaking to one right now.
It's been a pleasure.
Quite. I have not spoken with many of the Empire Kingdom. I do not know if you were born there, but I would assume so.
Yes, I was. The Ebony Kingdom, as you say. Well, that I was born there first time.
Ah, of course.
Just south of the Saharan Desert, in a place that was called Ghana.
Hmm, I see. She just seems to consider it for a moment. Just nods. Hmm. I do not know if you are lucky or unlucky to not be among the number of the the Bosam. I know little of them, but we have had visitors from their number not too long ago.
I have yet to make their acquaintances. What were they like?
Well, they demanded the death of a local gangrel in a neighboring kingdom, well, princedom, and they got it. They got their will, and then with that will, they now have a very, very powerful enemy in Gangrel. But it was facilitated by Nosferatu, so some
I
of
see.
the low clans have always been at each other's throats.
and we remain above that fray.
For the moment, hopefully. One of them were sent and caused quite a bit of panic in the city at one point. I cannot say that I have seen anything like it. Must be a power of their blood.
There are many powers of the blood. I am still learning of all the variations.
I suppose you are. It will take time. But study with care and dedication. You will learn in time. If you wish to learn certain things, and if you are willing to pay the costs of such learning, I can teach you much. But, well, I would urge you to consider this somewhat carefully.
As all things have their price, the value of them can only be reflected in, well, the cost. Thank you for your offer. I will consider this.
Again, do not take this the wrong way, but the price for my studies are not. They are not in form of boons normally. They are not even any forms of money. They have quite a different price.
Is there some kind of perception roll I can make to maybe get the understanding?
Yes, you can roll perception alertness. And again, you haven't been, maybe you've heard certain things about Madeline? Because there might be some rumors going around.
Yeah.
She seems to.
Looks like we're experiencing a little bit of technical difficulty.
Sorry, how much did you hear of that? You're muted. I just dropped out, so.
Oh, yeah, the last part I heard was you saying, and you dropped out.
So you hear that she, well, okay, I'll just restate it. She might be implying some sort of physical pain, some sort of like maliciousness, but it's not that clear what she means. But she is leaving it somewhat vague. As she will just look at you, and she seems to be gauging a response as well.
Memnon would raise an eyebrow and say, kind of cost that might be an arm, might be a leg.
No, 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 nothing like that. I teach for a very simple truth. What had brought you here brought you through quite a bit of the world as far as you said. However painful it might be. Would you say that the easy lessons, the days that just served you a meal and made you feel relaxed and secure, were the ones that has contributed the most to your existence? Or has it been those days where you truly felt every ounce of rage and pain that your so-called masters lend upon you, that taught you the most, that made you become what you are now? A quite strong man who lets his actions speak for himself.
I would say it was the days of my enslavement that have shaped who you see before me now as what you know me by, Memnon. That is who came up out of Ghana.
Right. And this is what I teach. By mastering the pain, by being able to see that in all pain, in all suffering, there is a lesson to be learned. And once you can master that, you can master so many things. And there are so many things that your enemies can no longer do to you that will in any way weaken you or compromise you. And this is what I teach through. But I require willing subjects to this teaching. Someone who does not wish to receive it or cannot accept these teachings, I cannot teach. I will deal with them, and it is. Do not take this for any ill will. I understand that my road, my approach to the world is very different from most people. But I do not doubt those who have a different outlook on this existence and whose relation to their beast is different.
But some truths are universal.
Very much so. She smiles somewhat creepily at this point.
Well, Madeline, what would be the first step and cost to take it, if you'd recommend?
Well, that depends very much on you. What? I know that you can do this well, so it would not be lessons in craftsmanship, although I would say that it would be a misplacement of my time and yours, since you are much better at it than I would ever be. But are there things that you would wish to improve yourself in, I wonder? Are there things you would wish to learn, perhaps disciplines that you would like to master?
Memnon, thanks for a moment. There is... Yes, there is something that has piqued my interest. The sharpening of the raw physical shell that some of us, aside from La Sombra and the traits that they espouse, out of character, I'm trying to, put it like the martial disciplines. I'm not sure how to say it.
Well, I can assist you in this. There are those who are, hmm, suppose, more skilled, but that also depends on what kind of martial. But swords is something I've had to practice a lot myself, given the nature of our existence.
Ah, you are handy with the sword.
I know there are quite a few who are better than me, especially in our circles, but I can hold my own, I believe. But, well, I have begun to approach a different. She holds out her hands and she smiles and she just says, a different kind of combat. You have seen how I spend a lot of time with Torvald, yes?
Yes.
He has taught me quite a few things about hands, feet, how to use my relatively small, but might I say, alluring frame to better and not needing steel. I am still much to learn, but I could give you a few lessons in the ways of the sword, surely.
I would be most interested. I am somewhat adept with swords and staffs and the rudimentary arms.
That is good. Well, we can meet in a couple of days for our first lesson. But at the moment, I have a lot to see to. I have a new prince in my neighboring city that I have to prepare for entertaining. What do you make of this?
Of our new prince,
Quite a name for herself. It is good. She is known as a progressive, I believe. More so than the seneschal of their of that same clan.
I can't say that I'm too familiar with her, but her reputation speaks for itself. In the end, she will either prove herself or fail and suffer the consequences thereof. Me, I will secure my own fate, regardless of their presence. It's a smart
She
thing to do.
she's as you say that she smiles very broadly. I knew I liked you for a reason. You may not have the same opportunities I had once I arrived at this city, but you surely have the will and the mind, I believe, to go very far in this city.
Thank you. Perhaps someday I will own my own forge, just like I've dreamed. You could tell that he's kind of he's lying, but he's not hiding the fact that he is. Just covering the record if anyone's taking it.
Hmm. She sees this and she seems. She doesn't. Well, I wouldn't say that she takes pride in that you do that, but she does seem to approve. Um, if you didn't know better, she would say that she seems to be quite happy talking to you. Like, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. Like, but sometimes Ancilla do have somewhat little time to deal with neonates, but she seems to just have quite, uh, well, who knows? Maybe it's her way, but she does just does seem to take all of this in, and she just says, "Hmm, I would like to spend some more time with you. I do not. Your straightforwardness is something I can appreciate very much."
Brevity is a sign of respect. So is, I believe.
Quite so. But I also see in you someone who is perhaps not had the same experience I do, but hmm, a life that I can at least relate to in certain ways. And I do believe you understand the meanings of my lessons. I appreciate this very much.
You're most welcome. I hope that your confidence in my understanding proves true. But I am one always willing to learn.
That is the right attitude. She smiles again. And she will just take off the armor again and just put on her normal clothing, and she will just say, "And thank you very much for this again. It's quite remarkable craftsmanship on a very, very short time. Such commitment. Very commendable. Very commendable."
Hmm. Well, I do not possess the needs of this mortal shell. It's easy to dedicate my time.
Hmm. It is appreciated nonetheless.
You are most welcome. Well, let me not keep you from your business that you still have to attend to. You
Thank you.
know, you do know where to find me. And
Oh, I do.
very well. He'll I can't remember. Is Geppetto like is my donkey tied up on the inside or on the outside of the building?
Outside the building.
Okay. So yeah, he'll bow and make his exit and unfasten his donkey and go.
Yes, and I do believe that as Memnon begins to leave, and Madeline seems to be closing up shop here, the scene will come to a close. Thank you very much, players, for playing, and watchers for watching. Good night.